In this analysis, we focus on what actually decided the women's 800 meters final. This is not just a recap. It is a technical breakdown of race structure, athlete decisions, and key moments under pressure. From the opening surge to the final acceleration, every phase is examined to show how the race developed and where it was won. We highlight how Keely Hodgkinson controlled the tempo from the front, how Sophie O'Sullivan positioned herself for a calculated late move, and how the chasing group reacted to the sustained pace. Particular attention is given to the transition phase between 500 and 700 meters, where rhythm begins to break and small technical differences become decisive. You will see why the final 200 meters created clear separation between the athletes and how timing, efficiency, and decision-making ultimately defined the outcome of the race.
And perhaps paid the price. I wonder if she's going to adopt the same tactics. On Hodgkinson's inside, it's Sophia Volkmar of Germany. And on the inside, Svetlana Shusha of Ukraine. Well, this could be a very, very interesting race. Hodgkinson, the fastest in Europe this year, in amongst these entrants. O'Sullivan looks good, so does De Koenig. Hodgkinson once again has gone out very quick indeed. De Koenig up on her shoulder. Hodgkinson heads for the inside. She likes to lead from the front. She likes to really throw down the gauntlet and make everybody else suffer. De Koenig, though, keeping her in her sight. She's right up on her shoulder. Slightly ungainly pole. Alicia Storch just behind her. Small figure, not difficult to recognise. And we've got Zuzak and O'Sullivan just behind Storch. But once again, it's Hodgkinson leading the way with a very fast first lap. Nobody looking around at each other. Rakusan and Lashowska struggling at the moment. So it's Hodgkinson, 62.14. That is a very, very quick race. Very quick 400 meters. So 300 meters to go, and it's still Hodgkinson with De Koenig out on her shoulder. Now O'Sullivan coming round the outside. Slightly shorter pattering style of O'Sullivan. Edging past Storch. Now getting up on the shoulder of De Koenig. Well, Hodgkinson finding another gear though. She's not going to let O'Sullivan go. 200 meters to go, and Hodgkinson now starting to pull away. Really starting to motor the diminutive Briton. O'Sullivan in second place, De Koenig in third. Hodgkinson really working hard now. I think she can taste that gold medal. O'Sullivan doing very well behind her, holding off De Koenig, who was so impressive. Rakusan comes from a long, long way back over the course of those 200 meters. But it's going to be Keely Hodgkinson. 2:04.86, another gold medal for Britain, just outside her personal best. And a championship record for Keely Hodgkinson. O'Sullivan gets the silver, and De Koenig of Sweden the bronze. Rakusan just left it all far too late to get into a medal position. More delight for Britney, and Betsy goes over there. Well, O'Sullivan absolutely delighted with her performance. Her mum, Sonia O'Sullivan, former world champion, in the crowd, helped us out with a bit of commentary yesterday. De Koenig, well, looks a bit disappointed. She had a cracking run in the semi-final, but that did go to pre-championship form. These were the 1, 2, 3 amongst the entrants. Well, Keely Hodgkinson deciding on her tactics and bravely managed to, as so often many athletes say, execute and deliver. Championship record 2:04.84 for Keely Hodgkinson. Sophie O'Sullivan just a fraction outside her personal best, but she won't mind. She'll be on the podium as the silver medalist. And Gail de Koenig, Sweden, again, just a fraction out.
The women's 800 meters final unfolded as a race built on pace control, psychological pressure, and the clear authority of Keely Hodgkinson from the opening meters. This was never going to develop into a passive championship race with a late sprint finish. Instead, it became a sustained test of rhythm and endurance, where early decisions shaped the entire outcome. Hodgkinson immediately imposed structure on the race by moving to the front and committing to a proactive strategy. Rather than allowing the field to compress and conserve energy, she forced separation through a controlled but assertive opening lap of around 62 seconds. This pace was not reckless, but it was high enough to disrupt the preferred race models of her rivals. Athletes who rely on gradual buildup were pushed into an uncomfortable zone earlier than planned, creating both physical strain and tactical hesitation. The field responded in fragmented ways. The Swedish contender stayed close, positioning herself just behind Hodgkinson to maintain contact without taking on the burden of leading. This was a calculated decision, but it required precise energy management because the pace offered no recovery phases. Meanwhile, Sophie O'Sullivan adopted a more conservative approach, sitting slightly off the leaders while preserving efficiency. Her positioning was deliberate, avoiding unnecessary surges while keeping a clear path for a later move. As the race progressed past 500 meters, the early tempo began to reveal its impact. The field stretched further, and minor inefficiencies in stride or positioning became amplified. Hodgkinson's mechanics remained stable, her stride length and cadence balanced, showing no visible disruption despite the sustained pace. This phase highlighted her ability not just to lead, but to dictate the emotional tone of the race. Forcing others into reactive decisions, O'Sullivan initiated her move on the outside, approaching the final bend. Her acceleration was gradual rather than explosive, allowing her to pass fading competitors while maintaining form integrity. Her compact stride pattern contrasted with Hodgkinson's longer mechanics, yet it proved effective in maintaining forward momentum without overextending. At this moment, the race briefly opened the possibility of a challenge, as she reduced the gap and positioned herself as the closest threat. The decisive moment came with roughly 200 meters remaining. Hodgkinson responded instantly to the pressure by increasing cadence and slightly extending stride length, a controlled surge rather than an all-out sprint. This timing was critical. By accelerating precisely when others were approaching physiological limits, she removed any realistic opportunity for a counterattack. O'Sullivan could not match the change in speed, and the Swedish athlete, already under strain, began to lose contact. In the final straight, Hodgkinson maintained technical consistency. Her posture remained upright, arm drive efficient, and ground contact quick, minimizing energy loss despite fatigue. She crossed the line in 2 minutes, 4.86 seconds, a championship record that reflected not only speed, but execution across all phases of the race. The performance was not about a single decisive kick, but about sustained control from start to finish. Behind her, O'Sullivan secured silver through disciplined pacing and well-timed progression. Her decision to delay the move allowed her to avoid early fatigue, but the cost was an inability to respond to Hodgkinson's final surge. The Swedish runner completed the podium, her early positioning keeping her competitive, though the accumulated pressure reduced her capacity in the closing stages. Further back, the French athlete delivered one of the fastest closing segments of the race, overtaking multiple runners in the last 200 meters. However, the delayed timing of that move highlighted the unforgiving nature of the 800 meters. In a race shaped by early pace, waiting too long to engage left too much ground to recover. This final illustrated a broader shift in the women's 800 meters. Success is no longer built purely on tactical patience, but on the ability to sustain high intensity across the full distance. Hodgkinson's performance demonstrated a complete race model, front-running confidence, efficient biomechanics, and precise timing under pressure. Her control of pace eliminated uncertainty and forced every competitor into a reactive position. This was not just a victory defined by time or margin. It was a demonstration of authority, where strategy, execution, and physical capacity aligned perfectly.